This app is spreading anti-Bharat content. That's the news. These are intel reports which are red flagging this app. It's by the name of Red Note. It's increasing China's propaganda in states in the northeast of Bharat. This app is misleading youth with fake documents and fake videos. This is a Chinese social media app, Red Note, highly active and influential in northeast of our country, particularly in regions of Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Assam, and some parts of Mizoram and also Sikkim. So almost all of the northeast of Bharat. The app has become a platform for psyops or psychological operations allegedly used by Chinese and Pakistani agents to manipulate and influence local sentiment through AI-generated content such as fake confidential documents, example fabricated RNAW files, doctored videos, and also pushing disputed map of Bharat. Red Note is actually spreading misinformation and subtly encouraging Northeast Bharatiya users to align with foreign ideologies. These actions pose a serious threat to national security and unity, and of course challenging the sovereignty and integrity of our country. There is growing concern that this app is being used to promote anti-Bharat narratives under the guise of social content, particularly exploiting regional sentiments with messages such as Delhi is too far, quote, while promising monetary benefits for showing support to China. Red Note, a Chinese social media app, has emerged as a potent platform for psychological operations or psyops in the northeast part of our country, highly active in states. So this is what's being reported very clearly, that Chinese and Pakistani agents are using this platform to undermine national unity and also posing a threat to national security. So friends, viewers in the northeast part of our country who are watching this, please beware. If you have this app on your platform, please beware. Please exercise caution, don't get influenced. And let's hope the authorities crack down on yet another Chinese attempt to try and tear through our social fabric and cause dissent and discord within our country. We get a move on here on this edition of The Right Stand with more news coming through. Pakistan's nexus with jihad has once again been exposed. Is this nation radicalized beyond redemption? That's the larger question, and it's not just a nexus between Pak army and terrorists, but also Pakistani politicians who are involved. There is clear proof of how jihad is not just state-sponsored in Pakistan. Jihad is no longer a proxy. The Pakistan state seems to be acting at the behest of the jihadis. Battered by Bharat in Operation Sindoor, Pakistan celebrated Mission Yawm-e-Takbir in Gujranwala in Punjab region to commemorate Pakistan's nuclear deterrence against Bharat in 1998. Talha Saeed, son of Lashkar founder Hafiz Saeed, was present at this rally in Punjab's Kasoor. CNN News 18 now has accessed exclusive visuals of terror groups on one stage with politicians of Pakistan, elected representatives sharing space with proscribed entities. Video of Talha Saeed, son of Hafiz Saeed, here only on CNN News 18. Terrorist Talha Saeed welcoming Speaker of Punjab Assembly on stage along with other politicians. Talha Saeed's presence is nothing but the consent of the army and also the Pakistan polity for global terrorist Hafiz Saeed, and that they are together in it all together. So that funeral, from that funeral, remember the funeral pictures, to this, Pakistan as a state exercising or commemorating its day of nuclear deterrence back in 1998. That day is now being hosted and fronted by jihadis and also proscribed terrorists from proscribed organizations like Lashkar-e-Taiba. This only suggests open state sponsorship. So is it radicalized beyond redemption, this nation that is Pakistan? Now his naming of Saifullah Khalid is an open bid to back terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir too. Talha Saeed said, and I quote, "Today there is a message for India from Pakistan. I am thankful to Malik Ahmad Khan, Speaker of Punjab Assembly, Malik Rashid Khan and Saifullah Khalid for their presence here on stage. I also salute the people of Pakistan on behalf of my father Hafiz Saeed. I am here to tell you God loves those who do jihad." Intel sources said that Talha also dismissed the terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam as drama. More visuals of terrorists at Pak rallies with Pak netas and also the army chief's pictures. Terrorists and Pahalgam plotter Saifullah Khalid, alias Saifullah Kasuri, is visible in these visuals. The army chief and Field Marshal Asim Munir's poster is seen behind the terrorist. The Pahalgam plotter had been in hiding for several days ahead of this event. Now, Intel sources have told CNN News 18 why Bharat was right in striking Pak terror hubs. Talha Saeed is son of 2611 plotter Hafiz Saeed. He's seen openly spewing venom against Bharat. Talha Saeed is inciting anti-Bharat hate with Pak state support. Pak Punjab Assembly Speaker is present with terrorists. Posters of Pak Army Chief Asim Munir along with terrorists are being pushed around. So this entire state, it's not sponsorship. They're just one extension of the other now. And one is mixing with the other. Pak's institutional backing for terror has been proven beyond doubt thrice within the last 1 month. Talha Saeed is threatening to block Bharat's breath over water disputes. Talha's claim of Hafiz Saeed being given a safe refuge under state protection exposes Pakistan's sham counter-terror policy. Posters were put up across Pakistan for the celebration of Yawm-e-Takbir, which means Day of Greatness. And the posters which have picture of Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir showcased across Lahore and Karachi. The posters also feature jihadis Faisal Nadeem, President of Pakistan Markazi Muslim League, Sindh Province, Nadeem Awan, President of Pakistan Markazi Muslim League, Karachi, and Noman Ali, Vice President of Karachi chapter. They are all part of MML that share Lashkar's ideology. The posters and rallies by jihadis highlight the deep-rooted connection between military and jihadi elements within the country. Jihad rallies, meetings at the behest of Pak Army and Pak politicians, Pakistan's open platform to Pahalgam plotters like Saifullah Kasuri is a free run for jihadis to spew hate against Bharat. Pak Army's heavy security for jihadis is also visible. Terrorists neutralized in Operation Sindoor, called martyrs by these jihadis and endorsed by the Pakistan Army. Asim Munir with jihadis, this is the level. Someone who's wearing the designation of Field Marshal, the highest position, 5-star general. His pictures are with proscribed terrorists and jihadis. That's the level to which he's brought the stature of the uniform. That's the level to which Shehbaz Sharif and Asim Munir have brought down the Pakistan state to. And they are just openly saying that this lot is radicalized beyond redemption. It's the third generation of jihadis in Pakistan that's being led by this person who claims to be a field marshal now. Weaponizing the holy book Quran, leveraging state power, aligning with goals of Hafiz Saeed and Masood Azhar, using state machinery to fuel jihad, combining state power with terror ideology. Asim Munir integrating radical clerics into training programs of the Pak Army, indoctrinating, radicalizing soldiers and also thereby bringing a permanent blemish to the uniform. Jihad for Kashmir is divine duty is what he is trying to tell everybody. Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey, former GOC 15 Corps with us. Shalini Chawla, Distinguished Fellow, Center for Air Power Studies with us. And Tilak Devashar, author and former member of the NSAB with us. My namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. Thank you very much for your time. Tilak Devashar ji, what would you say to this? Before I get to the army man in the midst, who would be pained to see the level to which the uniform has been now degenerated or degraded by this failed marshal. But this open season for and free run for radicals and jihadis who are celebrating Pakistan's nuclear deterrence day. Tilak ji, this nation ye kahin nahi sudrenge. Are they radicalized beyond redemption?
First of all, I am not shocked.
Okay.
Because since Pahalgam, there have been at least 4 incidents where one after the other, there have been clear-cut black and white instances where people have supported or come out in favor of terrorism. You had the foreign minister saying in the National Assembly how they prevented references to the resistance front in the statement of the United States. If the resistance front is an indigenous organization, why is Pakistan so interested? When you had Khwaja Asif's statement saying that for 3 decades we have been supporting this, and you had Bilawal Bhutto saying we have a past, and finally the funeral that we saw, which was led by a US designated terrorist, and the coffin draped in the Pakistani flag. So what has happened now is in continuation. But I am surprised at the brazenness of it. In an open meeting to celebrate or to observe Pakistan's going nuclear in 1998, to use that occasion in which you have a gathering of terrorists where the photograph of Asim Munir is there, and to openly preach the virtues of jihad and threaten India and so on. So the brazenness of it at a time when they know that the FATF is going to be looking at them very closely, I just don't give a damn. You see, this is something which the world needs to take notice of. Everybody knows it is the epicenter of terror. But the brazenness with which Pakistan is doing it is something which is at least shocking to me at this time. I think the reason for this is that they are trying different manner or different means to cover up the fact that they lost decisively. How do you convince your people that it is business as usual? The army chief has been promoted as field marshal. We are having these rallies. Terrorists are roaming around freely. It's business as usual. Nothing has happened. Don't worry. So this is basically another mask, another attempt at damage control to show the people, don't worry, everything is in control. But I think the international community in India needs to take notice of it. But this was the Lashkar. There was a Jaish rally also, in which they threatened that we will take revenge against India and India doesn't know, all those kinds of nonsense. So it is both Jaish and Lashkar. Again, totally brazen.
Yes, sir. Sorry, on an aside, I'm also thinking they've all come out of their burrows. So some unknown gunmen will also be watching them.
Yeah.
Shalini ji, your thoughts?
Thank you. So I am also not surprised at what is happening because we have seen multiple occasions and also we have seen DG ISPR actually reiterating Hafiz Saeed's words where he said that if you stop our water, we'll stop your breath. So there is obviously the militant groups, these jihadi groups are an extension of the military there. They are very much a part of the state apparatus. Why it has been happening openly, one point obviously Tilakji mentioned, but the second could be also because they are doing the damage control for these jihadi groups who have been hit very badly by India. So this is also a way of for them to kind of bring them into the limelight and give them some, in a way, a comfort factor that yes, we really give credit to your existence. But the more important part here is that once we see this aspect, so it's very clear that there's not going to be any change in Pakistan's strategy. So how do now we kind of deal with it? A continuation of our Operation Sindoor policy is very much in place now. Second part is about the international community, because if these jihadi groups are part of the state apparatus, that means the national resources are going in nurturing these groups. And if for a state of this nature, will the international financial organizations giving the funding at all? It should be in the FATF grey list. So the international community really needs to take note of it, that how does Pakistan actually use these resources? So that factor needs to be definitely, I think, getting traction, and it will get traction definitely. As far as their the coordination between these groups and military is concerned, I mean, military obviously will treat India as an existential threat, and to deal with that, it does rely on these jihadi groups, and the jihadi groups do rely to a very large extent on the nuclear weapons, which has been a shield to conduct terrorism. So there is a linkage that you have in all these dynamics, the nuclear weapons.
But that bluff seems to has been called with Operation Sindoor. One of the biggest bluffs that has been called is this entire nuclear button threat and this Gidar Bhabki about nuclear, because there is getting below the nuclear threshold, there is enough and more space That's what Bharat has shown, and these capacities can be disabled at will by Bharat. That's also been shown.
Can I just come in for a minute on this one?
Ji.
I agree with you that bluff at this point in time we have, but will that actually mean that Pakistan will not rely on nuclear weapons to conduct its strategy? That is a deeper question.
If it resorts to that, there is a huge cost for the generals to pay, because nations who have backed them to the hilt in the past will render them a pariah. So that is also a big challenge. But thing is, Bharat has called that bluff. That's my humble submission. General Saab, thank you for your patience. Your thoughts on this? Are you inclined to believe, General Saab, as if I may add a small addendum to the questions, is that ये किसी के इशारे पे कर रहे हैं? Somebody would have told them, bring them all out in full force. Or is it just that this is the act of desperation by the Pakistan military?
No, you see, first it is not an act of desperation. It is not trying to reach out. It is not an outreach thing. My view, right? That is why we are a democracy. All of us can have a different view here. About a month back on ANI to Smita Prakash, I had mentioned 2 or 3 things. I'm just going to reiterate here.
Ji.
Okay. One is this coming of age. The product of Ziaul Haq, Islamization, is the current leadership, the senior hierarchy of military leadership. The senior leadership also of the terrorist group is also the same. So when you look at Saeed, you look at all these characters who were there, they all have grown somewhere working in sync over a period of time, either in Taliban, in Afghanistan, or in India, or elsewhere within their own country, right? So look at this facet, that this is actually, they are not very, not an unfamiliar terrain. The only thing what has happened is today is something very different. And if you recall, I think either with you or Rahul Shiv Shankar I had made, that our hashtag today should run, that the terrorists are not proxy of Pak army. The day the Pak army came, the GOC 4 Corps came for that to read the Fatiha of the dead terrorists, and the senior hierarchy was there. And the response to the DGMO of ours, of the Pak DGMO, that what has been done to the terrorists is going to be responded back, right? So for nearly 30 years, the terror was the tool, the state policy tool of the Pakistan army. It has now switched the role. The military is now operating for the perception management, healing of heart, or doing the bidding of the terrorist. The role has switched. So now today there is no distinguishing. They are in uniform, and these guys are not in uniform. They are paramilitary force. And is it something new? Right? Is it something new? They are not learning. They are not coming out with something new. Anybody who's read history or what is watching, the Americans, the French, the Germans, the Russians have used paramilitaries for dictating their policy terms elsewhere in the world. Right? I will not go into detail. The Pakistan army is merely learning from these Western powers. The photographs today, right, which has come out in various places, not only this, when the people are sitting in the group, in the state assembly, speaker is sitting there, is something like picture of G7 leadership coming out, right? And they're cocking a snoot at the G7, G20 leadership that, well, we are doing all this, but yet you are going to fund us from those billions of dollars which are going to come to us. The gloves are off. We are now naked. The terrorist and the Pakistani establishment are one. They are not only to be applied when there is a requirement to be applied. So look at all this. This is a transformative moment in terms of openness, brazenness, and coming out of the age to tell the world that, okay, now we are going to operate together. We are going to be a team together in public domain. Now, this part, let's kill it. The second, which is very important, you have to see the ground which is being prepared. You have been able to hit. They know the military prowess of India. What is going to happen, and just mark my word, in another 1 month or 2 months' time, this is a preparation of a popular movement against Indus Water Treaty after effect, which is going to happen, right? Because now there are two elements. The Pakistan army cannot carry out a war.
Correct.
Right? But they can use the state tool, or I'm sorry, they're masters, they're the terrorists, to spread the word. And you please understand, when earthquake comes, when floods come, these people reach out far more than the bureaucracy and television start doing work with the common people.
Right.
They are now going to go out again into the countryside and take the mindset, shaping of the mind that religion and, oh, by the way, across the border is an enemy, which is the one which is doing all this to you. It is not the Pakistani military establishment just to be blamed. Please take the blame across. So when this popular movement will take place, there are two factors which are going to be effective. The G7, G20, the modern world is going to come after the Indian establishment that why are you using this tool? We need to prepare. War may not happen, but we need to prepare for this thing which is going to happen. The second we have to prepare, there are Aman ki Asha, people who are large-hearted. We are talking of that leftist gang which came out in Calcutta, which came out somewhere else. Those are the people, not only those people who are actually only ideological drivers, but there is an element of 0.5 who may come out with brotherhood with the people across. So I think India has got a challenge coming up in time.
Interesting.
When the application of these ideologies will happen. Now the last question which you added, is this happening on direction of somebody? You started your conversation by talking of what is happening in Northeast.
Yeah.
The comment of Yunus when he went to China, or when he made the statement, Northeast countries, and then he corrected state. All these are not slip of tongue, right? These are all things which we need to be stitched together, put somewhere, and thereafter taken very collectively, comprehensively to be managed. Right. I hope I've been able to convey my points.
No, you have very comprehensively too. There is another dimension I'd like to add before we bring back Tilakji and also Shalini here. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh lauded Make in India for Indian Army's success during Operation Sindoor. He also said that those residing in Pak-occupied Kashmir are Bharat's own and one day will surely return to the mainstream.
तो आतंकवाद का कारोबार चलाना कास्ट इफेक्टिव नहीं है, बल्कि उसकी एक भारी कीमत अदा करनी पड़ सकती है। इसका अनुमान आज पाकिस्तान को हो चुका है। हमने पाकिस्तान के साथ अपने इंगेजमेंट और स्कोप ऑफ डायलॉग को रीकैलिब्रेट किया है। अब जब भी बात होगी, केवल आतंकवाद पर बात होगी, पीओके पर बात होगी और किसी दूसरे मुद्दे पर पाकिस्तान के साथ बात नहीं होगी। पाक ऑक्युपाइड कश्मीर के लोग वो हमारे अपने हैं, हमारे परिवार का हिस्सा हैं और हमें यह पूर्ण विश्वास है कि हमारे वो भाई जो आज हमसे भौगोलिक और राजनीतिक रूप से अलग हैं, वो भी अपने स्वाभिमान, आत्मा की आवाज़ और स्वेच्छा से भारत की मुख्य धारा में कभी न कभी जरूर वापस लौटेंगे।
Let's see also what Sir Jagadguru Rambhadracharya has said on this.
उन्होंने मुझसे वह राम मंत्र की दीक्षा ली, जो दीक्षा लेकर सीता जी से जो मंत्र लेकर हनुमान जी ने लंका पर विजय प्राप्त की थी, वही दीक्षा मैंने दी और मैंने उनसे दक्षिणा मांगी है कि मुझे पीओके चाहिए, पाक अधिकृत कश्मीर हमें चाहिए। यही हमारी दीक्षा है।
Let's take this forward. Now, is this perhaps a softer way of telling the world, Tilakji, General Pandey and Shalini ji, that Bharat is not going to use force, but there is going to be an uprising very soon, which will say similar to an East Germany wanting to merge with the West Germany, say because of the economic penury and the difference between the two sides, that side willingly will come back. But the larger meaning being, stable Pakistan is no longer a doctrine. Tilakji.
Yes, I think he made a very interesting point that, they are our brothers. And the reference that he gave of Shakti Singh, the younger brother of Maharana Pratap, it will be totally lost on Pakistanis. But those in India who know what the reference means, that is a estranged brother and how he came back and supported his brother during the war with the Mughals. So that was a very interesting reference that he made, and calling them brothers, and they would come back voluntarily, that in their hearts there's only a few people who are misguided. So it's also a big signal to the people of POK that don't think that we have forgotten you. You're very much part and parcel of our imagination. And that someday you will come back. And this is, I think, even what Prime Minister Modi had talked about the people, he addressed the people of Pakistan, the youth especially, that you have to decide what kind of a future you want. You know, is it terrorism or is it something different? So I think these are all signals. And yes, you're right. I think the signal is not that we're not going to go militarily try and conquer it, but because you will come yourself one day and say, I am India and I am coming back. So these are all very important statements that have been made by the Honorable Defence Minister, and I think it has conveys a lot of meaning and a deeper meaning.
You think Bharat is now moving beyond this entire stable Pakistan is good for the neighborhood? So this entire aspect of being constrained, being restrained in reaction and action because you want stability in the neighborhood, that's been now junked.
Yeah, I think so. I think so, because, you know, you have told them so many times that stop terrorism for your own good. You know, Prime Minister made it clear so many times. But if they do not listen, if they continue on the path of terrorism, where is the question of stability? You can't be stable if you think that you're going to destabilize us. We will not, you know, you can't imagine that will happen. So I think increasingly we are not so concerned about a stable Pakistan, which is a terror-infested Pakistan. We would much rather prefer a Pakistan that is junks terrorism. But there are no signs that it is junking terrorism at all. You know, the question that you raised in the beginning of the program, is it retrievable? If you allow open rallies, terrorists to come and address openly and talk about jihad and talk about, you know, all the kind of examples that I gave, it's clear that Pakistan is not going to do. They're brazening it out. You know, they are really brazening it out. There is no way they're going to junk terrorism, and that terrorism is directed against only one country, which is India. So I don't see why.
Jay, please complete.
So I don't see why we should be so concerned about stability in Pakistan if they are not concerned about their own stability.
So a Sindhu Desh, a Balochistan or Republic of Balochistan, a Pakhtunistan, and also POK coming back and merging back with Bharat. That leaves a Sunni Punjabi dominated, much shrunk, or perhaps, you know.
Yeah, but then don't forget the Saraikis. The Saraikis in South Punjab are also restive.
So the Saraikis,
you know, yeah, they're also very old civilization, culture. They have their own language.
General Pandey?
Yeah, so, you know, you touch very sensitive thing. I think we have talked again on this subject before also. My only worry, Tilakji, is that there is a strategic community of India which is slightly polarized in three fractions, you know. One feels that stable Pakistan is good, but the history says that every time Pakistan has got economic empowerment, West backing or the China backing, or there's a stability, or even the democratic government comes into power or well established. Let's say Imran Khan comes, things aren't going to change, they are going to get worse, right? So every time when somebody powerful comes, they want to leave a legacy that we are now going to strike into India in a manner that we will remain forever in our country. That's a mindset. So every time when you look at the history, wherever problems have happened with us, when a strong government has been in place, it was Ziaul Haq, was it Bhutto, or any point of time, right? I'll not get into details. The second is, there is a community which believes that when the parliament has passed an order, the present dispensation is saying that POJK will be ours. They believe that is going to have a force. Nowhere Rajnath Singh ji or anybody has said that we are going to walk by military force, and right, these things don't have to be said. These have to be actually read by the strategic community, which does an interplay from what the political dispensation wants and how it needs to be rolled out. Right? I firmly believe, and this I have taught when I was wherever I was for 2 years, is that there are 5 tools of statecraft, right? And these tools of statecraft need to be applied to ensure, and which we are not, right? When you talk of, in a loose term, isolated gunmen, I'm not very sure it is being applied by us. I think most of the time it's being applied by that country by themselves to get rid of their own people who are becoming, they are unable to manage.
Correct.
Somewhere, the India, Bharat, it has to come out the age of that ethical dilemma, right? Please read Chanakya. Chanakya is very, very clear and emphatic that neighbors, if they are competing, they can never be ever friends, right? You are not going to be friends how much you want to lie down, beg, or do whatever. You cannot appease Pakistanis. You surely can never appease China. There will be a revision, this which will happen. So please keep these couple of things in mind, and therefore we need to apply all these lever of time and technology and work towards it to achieve what the parliament has said, right? POJK is ours. There is a temperature, there is a feeling which is there in POJK when they see the development which is taking place in our Jammu and Kashmir. And having been a corps commander, having served in the border areas, I've seen their people coming, watching what is happening on our side and feeling jealous of it, talking about it. I'm sure you must have seen a couple of rallies, talks, Modi, you take over this, we need water, we need food. Those things are not semantics. There is a silent undercurrent. After all, religion as an opium also has got a threshold and time, right? Eventually, everybody wants certain degree of modernity in life, right? And the West is progressing, progress. So there will be a time when India moves ahead in economical terms. There will be a demand. After all, why do Bangladeshis want to come and work for you? Or why do Indians want to go and work in Dubai and elsewhere?
It's the economics is what you're saying.
Right? Yeah. So I'm quite sure that this is going to happen. And the last point before I wind up, I want to add, boundaries are temporary, right? What boundary was today was not there 50 years back. You look at in last 75 or 80 years after colonization finished all over the world, how many countries keep on coming up or they join hands to merge. The fracturing of civilizations have taken place. There will come a time where joining hands of civilization will take place. Right? So Bharat Varsh.
You're saying that the fragmentation will come back.
Which there me and you has stopped believing in.
Reverse process
is
that could
going
happen.
to come. A reverse time will come. Our time has started coming back. And I'm sure the nasha jo hota hai na, religion ka will start diminishing.
Shalini ji?
Yeah, I will just take your last point, which you talked about, the stability in Pakistan. So, much has been said, and I don't want to repeat, but if either there's stability or not stability or whatever they're going through, their strategy of terrorism doesn't change for India. So I don't think we in India need to be worried about that factor about stability in Pakistan. We have tried our best in terms of, resolving things by dialogue, resolving issues through the diplomatic measures. It hasn't worked. And now obviously we are on a position of zero tolerance, and we only 2 points that we want to talk about is terrorism and POK. So I think that instability paradox in Pakistan is something we are definitely not, we don't need to get there, because Pakistani regime themselves are not interested in stability. The whole, stature of military actually thrives that instability. So that is one aspect. Second is about the POK. Yes, I think a very important and powerful statement has been made, and we have anyway talked about it in 1994 Parliament resolution when we said that it's an integral part of India. So yes, we should be talking about it. They are our brothers. There is continuous resentment within POK, and you see the difference of the development between Jammu and Kashmir and POK is enormous. So there are deep-rooted protests there and resentment, which definitely need to be highlighted and brought to surface. So in that context, I think our policy of reiterating that POK is an integral part of India is very much, it's admirable what has been said.
True. Somewhere do you also see the fact that we are saying there is a soft hint saying that we are ready to welcome you back, but you need to create a groundswell that justifies Bharat's even perhaps a plausible part military intervention like it happened in Bangladesh, because there was a groundswell and then that groundswell became the court justification. So the situation is different. But one part is that Pakistan tries to bleed us, we will strip them and we'll slash them. Somewhere that doctrine, do you think, Tilakji, final word, has that now evolved? Is this now being very openly stated?
Yes, I think the Prime Minister has made it very clear.
Ji.
And I think the warning is to do this again. The consequences that, I think this time India, haath halka rakha tha, as I say, put it.
Ji.
We had them on the ropes.
Correct.
You could have smashed them in whichever way you liked. But we didn't. Because as a strong power, you just went in, exercised restraint. This is what the Defence Minister also said.
Ji.
Next time, I don't think so the gloves are going to be off. The next time is going to be very, very hard. And this is the message they have got. Therefore, their desperation, they're running around trying to assure their people, nahi, kuch nahi hua, kar lenge, that kind of a thing. But in the hearts of hearts, say no. That if there is a next time, then India won't stop only at the terror camps. It will go behind the people, as the Prime Minister said. We will not make a distinction between the terrorists and the government supporting the terrorists. Then the centers of government which are supporting the terrorists, those will be targeted.
True. And 16, 19, 25, we've only pushed the barrier and we've raised the threshold and redrawn the lines. And this time around, perhaps far more explicitly than ever before. Thank you very much to our panelists. Thank you very much for joining us. Engaging conversation as always. Namaste. Thank you. Quickly, there is this entire language debate that's emerged. Actor and politician Kamal Haasan responding to the controversy surrounding recent comments made about the origins of the Kannada language, saying his words were misinterpreted and spoken out of love. That's what he said. The controversy continues to snowball as the actor has publicly refused to apologize for his remarks. A complaint has been launched by the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike in Bengaluru asking for an FIR to be registered against Kamal Haasan for making statements that provoke sentiments between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. The police are yet to register an FIR. JDS says the Karnataka government must impose a ban on the film, says the actor's remark hurt Kannada's pride. Meanwhile, Kannada actor Shivaraj Kumar has shied away from criticizing Kamal Haasan, saying even he has love for Kannada. Now, TVK has hit back at Kannada groups threatening a tit-for-tat move, warning if Kamal Haasan's film is banned in Karnataka, Kannada films will be banned in Tamil Nadu. Now, both Tamil and Kannada are Dravidian languages. When we say Dravida, means south of the Vindhyas, the land portion of Bharatvarsh, which is sandwiched between three seas or water from all three sides, or surrounded by water. So that's the Dravidian language, or the word Dravida itself means. Very rich history for both languages. Linguists are actually finding that they are some of the major languages and they are from the Dravidian family of languages, but they developed as separate branches from a common ancestor known as Proto-Dravidian. Kannada is one of the oldest Dravidian languages with a rich and well-documented history that dates back to over 2000 years. It belongs to the southern branch of the Dravidian language family, which also includes Tamil, Malayalam and Telugu, and that's why there will be influences of these languages in today's spoken and written Kannada. While Tamil remained geographically and culturally rooted in Tamilakam region, Kannada speakers moved westward and towards what is now seen as modern-day Karnataka, leading to an independent linguistic evolution. Both languages share linguistic DNA, but syntax and vocabulary diverged over time. Kannada has multiple influences. Kannada is heavily influenced by Bharatiya languages of Sanskrit, Prakrit, Pali, and in later centuries by Portuguese and English. There is also a hint of Bhojpuri in Kannada. By the 5th century CE, the language evolved into Old Kannada, which was heavily influenced by Jainism. The Middle Kannada phase developed about the 13th century and bore heavy Jain and Hindu influences. While Kannada and Tamil share heritage as Dravidian languages, both evolved separately over time. Kannada and Tamil are distinct Dravidian languages with shared origins. One is not derived from the other. Kannada evolved around the 3rd century BC. Tamil likely started diverging into a distinct language by about 1000 BCE. In 1816, F.W. Ellis put forth the Dravidian proof, quote unquote, which showed that the South Indian language of Tamil, Telugu, languages of Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and Malayalam were related. Tamil Sangamira, that is 500 BC to about 300 BC, and Kannada's classical period started around 850 CE, were distinct. Kannada has its own ancient literary tradition, inscriptions dating back to the 5th century CE, that is, for example, Halmidi inscriptions, and also a rich body of literature from the 9th century onwards. Tamil, while similarly ancient, has a distinct script and literary tradition, example, the Sangam literature itself. There is no evidence supporting the claim that Kannada is born out of Tamil. Both languages developed independently from a shared linguistic ancestor. So their origins, their roots are the same. Tamil remained geographically and culturally rooted in the Tamilakam region, while Kannada speakers moved westward to what is now Karnataka, leading to independent linguistic evolution. On that note, viewers, we'd like to leave you with a very engaging conversation. Do we really know our history, itihasa, or have we been so brainwashed as a republic that we are ready to accept mythology as our itihasa? Have we been taught what we are actually not? Listen. Namaste, Jai Hind. A conversation that is a must, that needs to come front and center and perhaps into our drawing rooms. Who are we as a nation, and have we always been taught what is actually not? Are we a brainwashed republic, as Neeraj Atri writes? His story of Itihas. Well, the trailer blew me away, and that's the reason why we have the writer, producer, and of course the director of the movie, Manpreet Singh Dhami, sitting right in front of me, a young lad. And with him is someone who's off-cam conversation. We talk a lot of strategy, war, etc. on camera, but yes, a short off-camera conversation about how our history or our itihas needs to be taught properly to the generations. Lieutenant General Pandey is with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anand.
So let's open up the conversation, and quickly, Manpreet, how did this movie, this concept, everything happen?
So 4 or 5 years back, I had no idea about my history, and some guy, some person, he just told me 4 years back कि तुम्हारी history किताब में गलत लिखा हुआ. मैं हंस पड़ा उस पे. मैंने कहा क्या बात कर रहे हो यार? Because you're not ready to accept that. So but he's like, no, start with some books and you'll start reading it. You'll start getting to know about it. I like reading, but I don't love reading. Okay. But when I started getting into the books and this Brainwashed Republic written by Neeraj Atri came into my hands, I think that blew me away. I'm like, which world am I living in? And the revelation, the anger, I just like, मेरे साथ जो हुआ वो आने वाली generation के साथ नहीं होना चाहिए. वो, because to be honest, like 12 years back when I went to Europe, I felt quite inferior because I had no idea about my history. But जब मुझे history के बारे में अब जब पता लगा, I knew about my greatness. Now I'm a very confident person. तो जो लोग कहते हैं ना कि हिस्ट्री से क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है यार, आज की बात करो, फ्यूचर की बात करो. हिस्ट्री जो लोग आपने सुना होगा, एक बहुत बड़ी कहावत भी है सर, कि जो लोग अपनी हिस्ट्री भूल जाते हैं उनका ज्योग्राफी बदल जाता है ना. तो और एक ये भी कहावत है कि किसी का भविष्य मिटाना हो तो उसका इतिहास मिटा दो. तो मैं चाहता हूँ जो इतिहास मिटा हुआ था, जितना मैं उसको वापस दिखा सकता हूँ, जितनी मेरी हिम्मत है, उस सागर के लिए बहुत लोग काम कर रहे हैं. उस सागर में मैंने अपनी एक छोटी सी बूंद डाली है.
So you have written, produced and directed this entire movie.
Yes.
You wanted to do it that way, or did nobody want to back you? सत्य क्या है ये बताइए.
Writing and direction is something which I always love to do, and वो तो मुझे पता था मुझे करना ही है. और but the product, obviously कोई चाहता नहीं प्रोड्यूसर बनना, but मुझे फंड्स नहीं मिले, no one backed me, and थोड़ा सा अभी इसको चाइल्डिशनेस कह सकते हैं, दिलेरी कह सकते हैं, जो भी कह सकते हैं. It was just an inner voice, and some things just happened from somewhere, and I was able to accumulate some funds myself, और वो हो गया. कैसे हुआ मुझे नहीं पता, उसका जवाब नहीं है, but it just happened. But I'm glad, because then the decision making becomes streamlined. Because most of the movies, if you see, they are not that good, because writer ये सोच रहा है, director ये सोच रहा है, producer ये सोच रहा है. It's not aligned. यहाँ पे हर बंदा, ये हर चीज़ यहाँ पे aligned है. Despite disadvantages, this is the advantage which I would like to see more as a silver lining.
So you are actually trying to bust a few myths or mithya
Hanji.
and bring to the fore what
Hanji.
is actually itihas as it happened, itihas.
Hanji.
So give us an example and then we'll get General Pandey to weigh into it.
So
also.
for example, मैं आपको बताता हूँ जैसे 11th 90s में 11th क्लास की बुक में ये लिखा हुआ था गुरु तेग बहादुर के बारे में. I've just brought this book by मक्खनलाल. So he's quoting this 11th क्लास की medieval India की. इसमें लिखा हुआ है गुरु तेग बहादुर was arrested with five of his followers brought to Delhi and executed. फिर बाद में लिखा हुआ है कि later Persian sources से कि he resorted to plunder and rapine laying waste the whole province of the Punjab. अब इससे बच्चे के दिमाग में क्या जाता है कि सही ही हुआ गुरु तेग बहादुर ने प्लंडर एंड रिपाइन और वॉट एवर ही डिड, तो इसलिए उनको मारना एग्जीक्यूट करना सही है. सो औरंगजेब बिकम्स अ बेटर गाय. वो तो जिंदा पीर है. ही वाज बीइंग टोल्ड एज लिविंग सेंट इन आवर स्कूल हिस्ट्री बुक्स. सो देयर आर मेनी एग्जांपल्स. फॉर एग्जांपल नाउ blatantly they have written, not exactly blatant but very, I would say I have to give it to them, sir, they are very smart. Pandita Ramabai felt that Hinduism is oppressive towards women. Okay. Now, जो बच्चा बैठा है वो तो ये नहीं देख रहा ना पंडिता रमाबाई फेल्ट अ ग्रेट स्कॉलर, संस्कृत उसके दिमाग में वो नहीं जाएगा. उसके दिमाग में ये जाएगा कि हिंदुइज्म इज ऑप्रेसिव टुवर्ड्स वुमेन. हाउ वी आर uprooted from our culture like this very smartly. So I have to give it to them. Even if I am angry against them, I have to give it to them. भाई सही तरीके आपने यूज किया.
So, but how is, if Hinduism is oppressive towards women, how did Ramabai become a pandita? So
that story needs to be told.
That story needs to be. General Pandey, your thoughts? Guru Tegh Bahadur?
Yeah, for me,
Persian sources.
For me,
that's what he did.
Yeah, for me, he's such a hero.
Yeah.
Right.
But how is it our history books don't quote Sikhi history?
Yeah, because they will like to have the Persian this thing, because nobody else is going to read. So when you quote something from outside, right, which has got a slant, which has got an angularity, nobody's going to question all that. So why should you quote your own scriptures and your own history or your own people, which may be questioned at point of time? So all these things have been agenda driven, right? Let me just quickly come back to what he said, that he was told not to do it. इससे अराजकता फैलेगी. The millennials, the senior millennials, that is my generation to maybe your generation as well, have been brought into that mindset that if you are going to change the status quo, बहुत खराब हो जाएगी हालत, right? So let thing get slide over. Let's not question. जो रट के सीख लिया वो सीख लिया. हमको history को question नहीं करना चाहिए. All over the world, they got 250 years, 300 years of history. Or like you go to Greece, you go to Italy, they got, the centuries old stuff which has been maintained and kept. There's a shot in this where they show this, the science part of, a temple का आप दिखाते हैं ना movie के अंदर. I had not traveled to South India earlier, it's only in Chidambaram temple. Major.
There are many temples.
There are many temples.
Padmanabha temple,
So
Chidambaram
all the
temple, all of
time,
them, yeah.
for me,
Ellora
me as a North Indian, or anybody who's reading a book, the highlight of buildings is Taj Mahal and Qutub Minar, right? The circumstances about Qutub Minar and circumstances about Taj Mahal is unknown to us, right? Whereas the scientific miracle or the advancement of science or this thing, of South India was only known to me when I was a major, and I traveled extensively to South India, and every time I used to enter, I should just wonder how without using cement and all these things have been made. That kind of an exposure and discussion and talk. How many photographs in your history books do you find of your own greatness? Where do you find the cultural influences which are there across the world? Where is it about talking about Angkor Wat, which was discovered, not even yet maintained by our country, which is there in Bali or in Cambodia. So why is it that we are wanting to whitewash? Why? And why are we so worried that in case we talk of Angkor Wat or we talk of our cultural influences from Banyan in Afghanistan to this thing, or Azerbaijan, that famous temple there, it will upset the apple cart which has been so fraudulently established by few people who were actually stooges of the colonial masters and who had to run the narrative, and they were so strong and powerful that nobody has been able to displace them till today. And the worst is of this movie, and this is where I disagreed with Dhami, and I called him up. I said, in the last, why have you said that the politician who came in a mandate to change the education system has now said कि मैंने एक पेज भी या एक कॉपी भी नहीं चेंज किया है, right? I was not aware, by the way.
No,
now again when I read, I realized that what you have said is right.
Yeah, after 4 years of
10 years.
The education minister said that.
Yeah.
After
That's
two
what
terms.
that's what like this.
So then I told him, यार आपने यूँ क्यों दिखाया? You know, I argued with him, which I was not aware. So when I went back and again investigated, I realized, oh shit, it is right. What he's saying is right.
Even I didn't change a comma or a dot in what I actually wrote over there.
Yeah. So
Even I didn't change. हाँ, एक पन्ने का एक भी word, एक भी comma हमने change नहीं किया।
तो ये कब अंग्रेजों का इतिहास या जो our इतिहास is one which is written by the people who have conquered us, right? Who came from the West. They may be the Mughals, they may be the Turks, they may be anybody else. They have written our history. When will the history be questioned? I will not say Bharat's history. When the history which is validated by scientific discovery, scientific examination will be written for us.
Our history books crunch 500 years of, say, the Chalukyas, the Cholas, and Rashtrakutas and all of that into one paragraph or half a page, and then 600 years of colonial rule is stretched into 3 classes. And you have to write your entire. So, but somewhere somebody decided this is what it is. Why is it that Article 1 of our Constitution says India, that is Bharat, but does not say Bharat, that is Hindustan?
Yeah.
Well, so somewhere the decision was made that we will look ourselves and perceive ourselves as the West wants to perceive ourselves, rather than say this is who we are, this is now our Swayambodh, this is our Swa, and we have to find it. So now, as we come to the final leg of this chat, what do you expect from the movie? What do you think the movie will do?
I'll just I'll say one line.
Sure.
And then
Sure, please.
उसमें अभी आप देखोगे ना, when you said that कि ऐसा क्यों किया गया, you see somewhere when the Westerners wrote history, जब the atrocity literature which they gave, somewhere they always wanted us to take validation from them. हर चीज में ये index, press freedom index, वो index, this is all new form of atrocity literature. वो बोलेगा अच्छा हम रैंकिंग में नीचे हैं, हम रैंकिंग में ऊपर हैं, सो इट्स कंट्रोल बाय देम.
तुम कहोगे तो सही, तुम कहोगे तो गलत.
मतलब पाकिस्तान और अफगानिस्तान हैज मोर फ्रीडम देन सो
प्रेस फ्रीडम.
Co-presented. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
So we have seen a court filing in which the Trump administration has claimed that because of the tariff threat that India-Pakistan were able to have that ceasefire understanding. What is India's stance on that court filing?
Okay. Madhu?
सर मधुरेंद्र, मैं न्यूज़ एशियन से. सर, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के ठीक बाद अभी देखा जा रहा है कि पाकिस्तान के जो आतंकी हैं, खासतौर पे लश्कर तैयबा के आतंकी, जिनकी प्रमुख भूमिका जो है पहलगाम आतंकी घटना में रही, वो भारत विरोधी मंच सजा रहे हैं. वहाँ से भारत को धमकियाँ दी जा रही हैं और सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि उनके साथ पाकिस्तान की सेना की सुरक्षा दिखाई दे रही है, पाकिस्तान के मंत्री दिखाई दे रहे हैं. इस पर क्या इंडिया रिस्पॉन्ड करना चाहेगा?
Sir, Pranay Upadhyay from India Today Aaj Tak. My question is regarding the 3 Indians who are missing in Iran, and this is yet another incident in last few months with Indians have gone missing, and there have been ransom calls. Is the government of India aware about the fact that the ransom calls have been made from Pakistan and people have been asked to deposit money in Pakistani accounts? How are we taking up this issue, and what is the response from the Iranian side?
Okay. Yeshi?
This is Yeshi Seli from Business India. I have two questions. One is on the uncertainty and instability in Bangladesh. There was talk of Professor Yunus submitting his resignation, then he had an all-party meeting. Is that a point of concern? And secondly, you had mentioned in the last briefing that there is no update yet on whether PM Modi will go for the G7. But with the new Prime Minister, is there likelihood of restoration of diplomatic ties? What is the situation between India and Canada right now?
Okay, so पहला सवाल उमा शंकर आपका है. देखिए, जहाँ तक हमारी जो द्विपक्षीय बातचीत या संबंध या जो एंगेजमेंट है पाकिस्तान के साथ, उस पे हमारा पक्ष, हमारा रवैया बड़ा साफ है, क्लियर रहा है, कंसिस्टेंट रहा है. जैसे हमने पहले भी बताया कि कोई भी इस प्रकार का द्विपक्षीय संबंध दोनों देशों के बीच में सिर्फ और सिर्फ बायलैटरल या कि दो पक्षीय ही रहेगा. साथ ही साथ हम ये फिर से दोहराना चाहते हैं कि आतंकवाद और बातचीत दोनों साथ में नहीं चल सकता है. और जहां तक आतंकवाद का सवाल है, उस पे बात इस मुद्दे पे होगी पाकिस्तान से कि जो हम लोगों ने उन आतंकियों का सूची जो दिया था उनको कुछ साल पहले, उनको हमारे हवाले करें. इस बात का मैंने जिक्र पिछले जो प्रेस वार्ता हुआ था उसमें भी किया था. और जहां तक जम्मू कश्मीर का सवाल है, उस पे जो बातचीत होगी द्विपक्षीय रूप से, जो बायलैटरल ढंग से ही बात होगी, वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ इस बात पे होगी कि पाकिस्तान ऑक्युपाइड कश्मीर यानी कि पाकिस्तान अधिकृत कश्मीर को कब का जो पाकिस्तान उसको इलीगल तरीके से, अवैध तरीके से उस पर कब्जा करके बैठा हुआ है, वो उस पे बात होगी कि कब वो उसको खाली करेगा अपना अवैध तरीके से उस पे जो कब्जा है उसको. और जहां तक सिंधु घाटी, सिंधु जल संधि का, इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी का सवाल है, जैसा कि मैंने पहले भी कहा और फिर मैं दोहराना चाहता हूं कि जब तक पाकिस्तान विश्वसनीय तरीके से अपना जो गतिविधि है आतंकवाद को बढ़ावा देने का, उसको जब तक नहीं खत्म करेगा, तब तक ये संधि जो है अबेंस में यानी कि स्थगित रहेगा. जैसा कि हमारे प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा अपने वक्तव्य में, और उसको मैं दोहराना चाहूंगा कि आतंकवाद और बातचीत दोनों साथ में नहीं चल सकता. आतंकवाद और व्यापार साथ में नहीं चल सकता है, और पानी और खून दोनों साथ में नहीं बह सकता. I would again reiterate this. We have been very clear and consistent in our position. I have said this in the previous presser last week, as also on the press engagement that we had on 13th of May. Our position in regard to Pakistan, in regard to engagement with Pakistan, has been clear and consistent. You are well aware of our position that any India-Pakistan engagement has to be bilateral. At the same time, we are clear that talks and terror don't go together. On terrorism itself, we are open to discussing the handing over to to India of noted terrorists whose list was given to Pakistan some years ago. I would like to underline that any bilateral discussion on Jammu and Kashmir will only be on the vacation of illegally occupied Indian territory by Pakistan, and on the Indus Water Treaty, it will remain in abeyance until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjures its support for cross-border terrorism, as the Prime Minister has said, and would like to repeat his words. Terror and talks cannot go together. Terror and trade cannot go together, and water and blood cannot flow together. Siddhant, you had a question regarding the court filing in the United States. I hope you've seen the court order as well. Our position on this particular issue that you mentioned has been well articulated. I would refer you to our position that was made clear on 13th of May. From the time Operation Sindoor commenced on 7th May till the understanding on cessation of firing and military action on 10th May, there were conversations between
Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. It has been a long-standing, almost political feud that's been going on between the Congress party on the one hand, certainly its media department represented by Mr. Jairam Ramesh, Mr. Pawan Khera. They've been training their guns against Dr. Shashi Tharoor, who's a four-time member of parliament of the same Congress party from Thiruvananthapuram, who's now leading the Indian delegation to the United States and to some other Caribbean nations. Now, they have taken issue with the fact that Dr. Tharoor, in one of his speeches there, said that for the first time in 2016, India crossed the LOC and did surgical strikes. Now, the Congress has hit back at him, saying that that's not quite the case. Surgical strikes had happened before as well, during Dr. Manmohan Singh's time. And they have cited some examples to show, including one from Dr. Tharoor's own book, as to saying that there were strikes that were carried out before 2016. But the moot point is not that. The moot point is, at a time when India has executed something we haven't seen before, at least in scale, in degree, in precision, and in simply altering the military options available sub-nuclear, every which way you look at it, Operation Sindoor has been a game changer. And the military implications of it are just sinking in because the dust is just settling. At a time when India is sending these delegations, led by Dr. Tharoor and others who've gone to Europe and Southeast Asia, etc., to try and win the narrative war, why is the Congress party undermining not just the government's effort or its own members of parliament's efforts, but its own effort, which we saw in the aftermath of the first few days of the Pahalgam attack, and also in the aftermath of Operation Sindoor, where there seemed to be a collective national unity around the issue of Operation Sindoor and India's need to send a message to Pakistan. But now that national political unity seems to be crumbling bit by bit. I want to first play out a series of reactions where Dr. Tharoor, who's now in the last few weeks certainly emerged as one of the most articulate voices for India and to put forth India's position. Forget about government of India's position or opposition of India's position. But we as a nation, the whole of nation approach, as my colleague Anand keeps saying, he has become an articulate spokesperson to put forth India's point of view. He's now getting attacked by some of his own.
What has changed in recent years is that the terrorists have also realized they will have a price to pay. On that, let there be no doubt. When, for the first time, India breached the line of control between India and Pakistan to conduct a surgical strike on a terror base, a launch pad, the Uri strike in September 2015, that was already something we had not done before. Even during the Kargil war, we had not crossed the line of control. This time, we have gone beyond both of those. We have not only gone beyond the line of control and the international border, we have struck at the Punjabi heartland of Pakistan. Our Director General of Military Operations got a call from the Pakistani Director General of Military Operations saying they'd like to stop this. No one sitting in Pakistan is going to be allowed to believe that they can just walk across the border and kill our citizens with impunity. There will be a price to pay.
Now, there is a new controversy with the chief spokesperson of the Congress party, the head of the media department, Jairam Ramesh, coming out and saying that why are we sending all of these delegations? Why are we sending all of these MPs round